Hello, universe. My name is Pat Simone, and today my guest is Connie Conway. Connie is running to replace Devin Nunes in Congress for the remainder of his term in the 22nd Congressional District. Connie is a member of the board of directors of the World Agricultural Expo from 2001 to present. Prior to serving in the Assembly, Conway served on the Tulare County Board of Supervisors for 8 years. Conway served as president of the California State Association of Counties, and she later became a director of the National Association of Counties.
And even the impact on all of the equipment that you have to run.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the costs are unbelievable, and I think almost the disrespect that we have for feeding the world by some folks. It's like, I had to tell one of the little lawyers for the Attorney General's office one time, honey, milk doesn't come from the refrigerator case.
Right.
Right. There is a process involved in this and how we get it, and how we have the bounty and the beauty that we have.
Yeah.
Farmers are not trying to destroy that.
No.
It's their life.
Yeah.
It's what they do.
Exactly. People walk, they walk into the grocery store, and I'm talking like 99.9% of the people, they walk in the grocery store and they think the store provides, and it doesn't. It's just a distribution center to pick stuff up and pay for it, right?
Yeah.
It's been touched so many times, down the road.
Yeah.
That it's incredible and everything.
The price you pay at the grocery store is not what the farmer gets for all
No.
the work he's done to produce that crop.
Like we were talking about fertilizer, it's 3 or 4 times if you can get it, and it's
Yes,
the
yeah.
water cost and electricity and everything that you were you came up on in your quests and everything. Now, you were on the city council?
No, Tulare County Board of Supervisors.
Tulare County Board of Supervisors. You
Yes.
were on that. So you've learned so much about what's going on in the community by doing that.
Still
it's
trying to
amazing.
use it at this point in my life.
Is that right?
Yeah, I like to say, to whom much is given, much is expected. My current running to finish the term of Congressman Devin Nunes.
Yeah.
Not something I ever expected to do, but I feel like I'm the right person at the right time in the right place.
Right.
Because it's the benefit of, first of all, the support I've gotten over the years by folks to allow me to serve in these positions. But now let's put it to good use. I mean, it's 9 months is left on the term.
Yeah.
Probably be about 6 by the time someone actually gets elected and gets there. But it's 6 months that I think are very important. Currently, Mrs. Pelosi's clerk is overseeing the district, not voting, but
that's not good.
yeah. And I think that people, today I'm not sure people understand exactly what the congressional office does.
No.
Because
Go ahead and explain it, please.
well, you see TV and you see all of that,
Right.
and the back and forth and all of that. That's part of it, certainly. But really, your congressional office, your congressperson, is your liaison to federal agencies.
Right.
So I am very interested in what's happening in the district. A lot of issues for veterans are handled through the congressional office. Certainly people with Social Security issues, which gets to be even more and more. Even the U.S. Post Office.
Yeah.
Passports. This is another problem that people come across and that they need. Even visas, immigration visas. All of these issues, and military academy appointments, all these things are done through the congressional office, and I hate to see it, nothing happening there right now. And I certainly have the time to do it at this point in my life, and it was an unexpected opportunity, but one that has kind of rejuvenated me, lit my fire again to get back in and work hard.
So I mean, with all your experience and everything, was there a calling? Like, all of a sudden, did you just say, "Hey, I want to do this," or fill Nunes' shoes, or did people say, "Hey, you should do this"? How did that come about?
Probably a little of both.
Uh-huh.
I after serving on the Board of Supervisors, I served in the California State Legislature for the 6 years allowed. I'm part of the old group where the term limits were different. And for those 6 years that I was there, I served as the minority leader.
Yeah.
which I, really learned a lot, and actually appreciated that opportunity to fight for the Valley, because
Right.
it's really what you're doing,
Right.
and really to fight for the state of California. They used to have something they called the Big Five, and that was the governor and the 4 legislative leaders.
Uh-huh.
And it got to be such a majority on the Democrat side. Someone said, "Oh, you're part of the Big Five." I said, "Yeah, it's kind of the Big Three and the Little Two, but I'm happy to participate and
Right.
be there."
You were governor appointed.
Well, afterwards. No,
Right.
I was
okay.
elected to the legislature, and
Okay.
then elected by my colleagues to serve as the
Okay.
minority leader.
Yeah.
And so that was a real springboard for me. And when I finished that, I was appointed by then Governor Jerry Brown. I served on the Community College Board of Governors.
Right.
Not a big paying,
No, it's all right.
more or less a volunteer job, but
Yeah.
it was
Humanitarian.
and I needed the Senate confirmation. But I've always been interested in education too. So it's just lessons that you learn. And as I say, I've had these opportunities. Never saw the Nunes thing. I realized that Congressman Nunes was the number one target in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
They tried for years to get him.
It's because he's smart.
Oh gosh, and feisty, and stood up and reasonable. Really could see, what they used to say. I could see the forest through the trees. But
I could see him age.
Well,
it aged.
it's really tough.
Yeah,
what they went through. But he, in order to get him out, they really had to just destroy the district, and that's basically what happened with the redistricting commission.
Yeah, now explain that. I looked at that, and it's okay. So where there's confusion, there's profit, or there's something else going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So it confused me, and I don't get confused easily. Explain that.
Well, to unelect Congressman Nunes, if you will. They tried for years.
Right.
And
they moved the district.
Put lots of money. Yeah. So every 10 years, it's a process that happens. Every 10 years with the census, then lines change for your city councils, for your board of supervisors, for your legislative offices in California, but also for all your congressional offices. So it's supposed to be a bipartisan body that makes this redistricting happen. It didn't appear to be very bipartisan to most of us. And this is how they eventually removed Congressman Nunes. They just broke his district up into 4 places, really with no opportunity, no place to go. And when people say to me, "Well, why aren't you going on? Why aren't you running for something else after you finish the term for Congressman Nunes?" Well, there's no place to go. If there had been a place to go, Congressman Nunes would have gone there, and I wouldn't be, having this conversation. But they put about 35% of it, I think. They changed future Speaker of the House, we believe, Kevin McCarthy's district.
Right.
He will now be my congressman after next January.
Oh, is that right?
After
Kevin
next
McCarthy
January,
will be?
yeah, after the next election. But about 35%, I think, is now part of his district. About 15% with current Congressman Tom McClintock, blended up at that mountain district of his. 9.67, basically 10% got put over in the Valadeo district. And then Congressman Costa's district got moved down, and 40% of the old Nunes district is now in with the Costa's district, as we're calling it. So surrounded by incumbents. And as far as I'm concerned, I love a good political battle, but I'm not crazy enough to run someplace where there is no path to success.
Right.
So
that is so confusing.
It is very much to people.
The average voter, they just want people to say, "I'm going to do this." You want to do certain things. So basically, you're running for a 6-month term. Is that how it's going to work?
To finish the
out?
term that ends January 2nd.
Right.
Yes.
And then what happened? Okay, so I looked at your stats, and you're 2-1. You've got, 100%.
But we take nothing for granted.
Right.
So there were 6 people in the race. In order to have been successful April 5th, which I would have loved to have been.
Yeah.
Because
Even though you're the
I could be
leader.
working already.
Yeah.
You needed to get 50% plus 1.
Right. So they need to wipe out everybody, and then you run against somebody, and then you win. So then you only have 6 months.
Yes.
And we need we need as many votes as we can get for you, so you can win out of the district, which
I believe between the two candidates,
you will.
I am the most qualified.
Now, what happens after that?
Then
It's up in the air?
Well, no. Well, then I'm done for the moment. I keep hearing about, well, this one wants to move here and do this and that. There may be another special election. Maybe that'll be my specialty now. But this opportunity was not something I was planning on or sought out. I mean, after I was termed out in 2014 in Sacramento, and then did the Board of Governors for community colleges for a while, and then basically was spent some time with my mom. She was very ill, but hung in there. We got her fixed up, and she got another almost 7 years. But also during that time is when President Trump appointed me to run the Farm Service Agency, which is a division of the United States Department of Agriculture. And so I headed that up for the state of California.
Now, how did that work? How did that come about?
Well, I really believe it was the efforts of the congressman, certainly spearheaded by Congressman Nunes.
Right.
But the Valley, the congressional delegation from California, the Republican delegation, really were, supportive of that and endorsed my efforts in that, and then the president made the appointment.
So President Trump, he signed an order?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Presidential
an executive presidential order. Wow.
And so it was, really what you're doing is you're helping farmers in need. And it was even more so. Farm Service Agency does loans. They work in partnership with other agencies. They have many divisions that help all variety of farmers, women farmers, disadvantaged community farmers, the small organic farmers. But I had been there about 6 months, and then we were locked down because of the pandemic. Our offices were closed.
So you were appointed. You were running along for 6 months, and then this hit.
The lockdown.
Okay.
But amazing. I'm amazed at the great staff that I inherited.
Right.
We had 30 offices up and down the state of California.
Yeah, it said it was like 50 counties and
it's
all this.
It's a big operation. Yeah.
So you were the head of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The executive director for California. But we made do. I could have one in some of the offices. They were big enough, 2 employees on site, but the door was locked. So we had to do a lot of things online. Basically, the agency was run from my kitchen table where my laptop was. But we got it done. And actually, because I think the farmers are so tied to their laptops, or everything's done electronically, I guess you would call it, or by computer, that we were able to do what we needed to do and continue to do it. There were some things that had to be done hand signed and handwritten that we couldn't do online, so those papers were exchanged. I mean, we had to, the farmer would come to the parking lot. We'd have a table or something out in front of the office, which was locked. We'd put the paperwork out there. Farmer could come and get it, sign it, leave it, take off, and then we would pick it up. I mean, we followed all the rules.
Yeah.
In hindsight, don't know how effective all of their rules on closures and masking and all that they did, but we followed the rules at the time set by the governor, and so we really got it done. A few of the things that we did, I think, were really great. Was try to help the small organic farmers, because who was helping them, and a lot of their produce is not in the supermarket or shipped. It's to restaurants, and what happened? Restaurants were closed.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a vicious cycle, and we did that in 3 or 4 languages to try and help folks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was amazing, and I give credit to the agency and to all the great staff that I had working with me.
That's
to really keep that moving.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't set up for all of that. You were set up to run everything the way it's been run and better it.
But Pat, life happens.
Yeah, I know.
And so, what do they say?
A ball, you got to run with
survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
So I hope that I fit under that survival of the fittest category.
Guess you do. Yeah, I guess. So now, who took your place in that position?
It took them a long time to appoint someone. I think it just happened a few months ago. But when Biden came in, of
Right.
course, all political appointees, and it's nothing out of the
They
ordinary.
froze them?
We were gone.
Oh, yeah.
My last day of work
that's
was the
right.
day that Biden was sworn in.
Yeah, that's right.
Currently now, I think Blanc Zhang from Fresno, I believe, actually holds that position.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him about it, but I believe, he's actually doing
It's a
that.
very important position because there's all these rules and regulations and
It's a blend of
like
policy.
we were talking about the cows, the gas and the cows. And so what did they do when you were talking about not issuing the licenses for 6 years?
Oh, back when I was on the Board of Supervisors. Yeah.
Now, how did that work? That's really interesting.
Well, the existing dairies, obviously, they were permitted, but we weren't. We couldn't permit any new dairies at that time.
Okay.
So it was a lot of litigation, and
Well, buying and selling then was an issue. I mean, if someone wanted to buy a dairy, that would be considered a new dairy, maybe?
it put a damper on some of that.
Yeah.
But no, they could do that. But gosh, then you're going to have to do in order to do that, it would require a new environmental
Oh, God.
review. And this is the part that's it's even like with the water subject that we could get to.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
But these environmental impact reports, when I hear people complain about, the dairies are factory farms, they're so big. They're farmed by farmers.
Right.
My son works side by side with his employees, and sometimes generations of employees
Right.
that live and work on the land too. And so it's an economy of scale. I mean, if it costs $1.5 million to do an environmental impact report,
Yeah,
to
which
even
is the
to even run a
taxpayers.
dairy,
Yeah.
the farmer has to put that money up to do
The
it.
farmer
Oh
does.
yeah.
I thought the taxpayer
If
paid
you
for that. The
no.
farmer does.
Well, the taxpayer's part in it is the overseeing
Okay.
of that, and it's certainly your tax dollars that the state environmental agencies we are supporting all of those. But you can't have a 200 cow dairy and pay those kinds of prices. So, as I say, economy of scale, the dairies had to get bigger so they could afford all the rules and regulations that are put on them. So it's so disingenuous of them to say, oh, well, it's just a big, huge factory farm. Well, because you made it that way.
Yeah.
That's why, the smaller dairies, there's still a few that exist. We call them grandfather dairies, not because they're old, because they were grandfathered into the permitting process.
Sure.
Because they existed for how many years?
Yeah, family owned.
But they can't grow.
Yeah.
Unless they want to do $1.5 million environmental impact report
Is that right?
and become a different dairy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
huge.
I don't think people understand, and we're driving them out of business. All these issues, we're driving agriculture out of business. I use the term "we are" loosely.
Well, yeah.
People are,
Yeah.
and it's much to the detriment because once you unfarm that land, and once that dairy goes away, you can't just start over tomorrow.
Right.
You can't say, "Oh gosh, well, we can't feed people anymore." Well, I guess we could start farming again. I guess we can start a dairy.
No, that's like
It's not happening overnight.
Yeah, it's like a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Just to get started.
Yeah, very much so.
Like to produce and everything. It's so much cost and planning and luck and torture and hard work and sweat and intelligence.
Farmers are the original gamblers.
I think so. They're and I've dealt with them, and they everyone's like, man, farmers are the hardest people to deal with. Yeah, because it was one of the hardest things to do. That they became so hardened as business people.
I think it's all in your perspective. I appreciate that hard work.
Oh, yeah.
And all, and really, you are gambling. You're gambling on weather. You're gambling on will the crop produce. Even we pray for rain, but if it doesn't come at the right time, or if there's hail involved,
Right.
you can wipe out a crop. And so, it's really a scientific business, and I so appreciate those that still continue against a lot of odds to produce for us. And, when I first got to the Board of Supervisors, a real learning experience for me in Tulare, at least for Tulare County, the City of Tulare Kiwanis Club has a Farmer of the Year banquet. It's actually a luncheon, and they asked me to speak. And I'm like, wow, what am I going to say that's interesting to farmers who do this work every day? They don't need a bureaucrat, telling them about their industry. So I had this idea that I would look at the crop reports because, between Kern, Fresno, and Tulare counties, they rotate back and forth on who's number one producing county. But all three, that's right there in the world, those three counties. So I went back to find the first crop report. It was in the late 1800s. And then every 25 years. So I did a little, it was really good for me, and was also did a little charting. So that was kind of what my presentation was about. And actually at that time, that would have been in 2001, maybe 2002 when I did that. We were farming about the same amount of land in Tulare County, but wow, what a difference. And what a difference in production. Because back in the late 1800s, it was cotton. It was maybe wheat. There was no double cropping. There was no fertilizer. I mean, it wasn't the science that it is today. So same amount of acreage being farmed, but the production was,
a lot lower.
Oh, gosh. And picked by hand or by horse, and very, very much different. But it was fascinating for me to see every 25 years. You could just see the impact of as machines got smarter and better, as people got more efficient. You could see when the nut trees came in, certainly when citrus impacted, because that's the original crops were not that.
So it was Porterville, that whole run right there. I used to call it the Orange Belt.
Yes, and so that was really fascinating to me, and hopefully it was a presentation that was worthwhile for the farmers to not a bureaucratic presentation.
Well. And what I tell people is look at California. Okay, look, we'll get into water. Okay, so look at the population of people. People use water. Okay, they're the most high consume of water, right? So you wash your clothes, you do all this stuff. You use water. Well, the population growth of California has risen 3 times, and we haven't done anything. We got this issue. We let this water go, and we can get into that and everything. But, I mean, our water storage, our infrastructures, everything, it's based on a population that's back in the 60s, or I think even before that.
Well, the delivery systems, certainly. Governor Pat Brown at the time, with the peripheral canal and some of the things that were brought into effect. But I hope people understand the myth that the environmental use of water has really changed the impact of water. Certainly, we have times of drought, and we have times when we have more water. It's the ebb and flow of life.
I did this deep dive study on the water usage, and I was telling these people, I said, look, there was 4 inches this year, and it was a long time ago. I don't have the stats in front of me, but there was a bunch of several issues where we had some severe droughts a long time ago.
People want to tell you that the farmers use 80% of the water. They use 80% of the 40%
that they're allocated.
That's allocated. And they pay for water that they don't get. Other people, control that. I tell people, look, where we live, agua es vida. Water is life, and we all need it. We need it. The farmer needs it. The farm worker needs it. Cities need it. Counties need it. People need water. The ridiculous part for me is that the extreme environmentalists keep us from storing water when it's abundant.
Well, and we can get into that. That is a huge issue.
Makes no sense.
What do you let water go for?
And they say, well, you're overdrafting. We need to recharge. Yes, we agree with that. Let us store the water. If we don't have stored water, how can we recharge? They talk out of both sides of their mouth.
Right.
And they're really not paying attention to the science.
They're letting all this water go, and I'm like, what are you letting water go for?
Yeah. I actually, on Sunday afternoon, this past Sunday afternoon, Governor Jerry Brown called me.
Oh,
Yeah, it was an unexpected
wow.
call. He said, "What are you doing? I saw in the paper that you're running for Congress." And so we had an interesting chat about that. He's living in Colusa County now, and I asked him, "Well, you're right up there. You know, Governor, we worked on that water bond. The people approved it. That money is sitting there. When are we going to get some action?"
So how much is that bond?
He's up, well, there was billions put aside.
Yeah.
He's up in Colusa County by where the Sites Reservoir will be. And, he says, well, it might take it's going to take a little more time. I said, it's been too much time already, Governor. The money's sitting there. You know the impact, and I know why it's not happening.
Right.
But we did get on the subject of he was very much a fan of the tunnels, the 2 tunnels that would go under the infrastructure and deliver water systems that way. I'm really a fan of let's just do whatever's going to work.
Okay, now where
let's
are those,
make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Where are those tunnels? Where were they?
They were going to go under the existing infrastructure that
Where?
we have. Oh, the Delta.
The Delta.
Well,
right.
it's really transportation from the more northern part of the state to the southern part.
So they were.
And of course, we're in the middle.
Right. Okay. The operative word was they were going to. When have they started that?
Oh, that's not.
Yeah.
That's not. That was part of the Bay Delta plan, and that's. I don't think anybody's even wants to talk about that anymore. They just want to keep flushing out the Delta with this water, and yet once again, very disingenuous. We have Yosemite Valley, but we also have Hetch Hetchy,
Right.
and the Shaughnessy Dam. Or is it O'Shaughnessy? My Irish relatives used to be O'Higgins,
Right.
and then they became Higgins. So the Shaughnessy or the O'Shaughnessy. That supplies beautiful, clean water to the Bay Area.
Right.
Well, and these are the people that are saying, oh, no, we can't put up any more dams. Well, why? You have yours. Excuse me? Then then let's take it down, and then you won't have a water supply. Oh, well, we can't do that. This is the type of conversation that goes on the legislative floor.
Yeah,
over and over again.
Politics.
I can't call it an argument. It's a heavy discussion, but it's as I use the word a lot. It's disingenuous. It's
Right.
not. Let's get real. And it's once again, the Farm Service Agency not only dealt with farming and dairy and cattle production, but also some forestry. So it's the same thing about we have less water. The trees are crowded in. We're not allowed to. No one wants to clear cut. Okay, we learned our lessons
Okay, now explain
from
clear
all of
cut.
them. Clear cut is just you go in and you take out the whole grove of trees.
Right.
No one does that anymore.
Yeah.
But now we have all these dead trees because of the beetle.
Yeah.
And because of the things that have attacked them, because they're all on top of each other. They can't get air. They can't get water because the undergrowth is still there.
Right.
So
You're talking about the forests.
yes, practical
The fires.
forests. Yeah, but that's part of the ecosystem.
Right.
That's part of the water supply, although we can't count that. Hydropower is not counted in our sustainable energy.
Why not? Is it a political
Because it's,
thing?
yes,
Oh.
it's totally. Because it's water.
Yeah.
We can count windmills that don't always go.
No.
Yeah.
No, those things are.
And then we're trying to replace on wonderful ground solar farms, but no one talks about what happens to those panels when we're done with them. What kind of minerals? What does it take to run on batteries?
Who are we buying
How
them from?
much?
Where are
Yes.
they going?
Where does this all happen?
There's, I and you, we all agree on the same thing. We have to do better. Okay.
Yes.
We don't have to close everything down to do better. So that's where the suffering is. You can't just say, we're doing all this right now. It stops right now. You can't do that. Well, you can, and you see what's happening because of it. So what we need to do is it's like we eat little by little. We don't eat real fast or we choke. and that's exactly what's happening. We're choking on these crazy things. Well,
people are very inventive and look. I mean, like I say with the crop report, the same thing can be said. It was first. It was just physical labor. Then it was the horse and the plow.
right.
And then it was the plow behind a couple of horses or mules, whatever. Just you give man a
Innovation.
challenge and they meet it.
Right.
And
well, we can
innovated. Meet these. Yes,
yeah,
we can
innovated
meet these
water
challenges.
use.
Yes,
I mean dramatically with all these water infiltration and systems and everything, injection systems.
I'm very worried. They're having another meeting May 6th.
Who's they?
Some agricultural industry.
Okay.
That's interested in, and it's about the Sigma rules. That's the new.
Now
you're now put in a zone for water and who's going to get what
allocations.
Yes, who oversees it? The water board, which is a bureaucratic group of folks appointed, not elected, and yet they get to make these types of decisions. I think this is what turns people off so much about politics, because when you elect someone, you can unelect them.
Right.
If they're not doing what you want them to do, you can unelect them. Yeah. These appointed boards that have all this power. So this has been coming on for a while. They're going to fallow. The plan is they want to fallow so much of our agricultural land. And, I mean, they've been talking about this for a few years, and they did focus groups, and the bureaucrats did all these things. It's not going to change the fact that we're not allowed to store and take advantage of the waters that we have.
Yeah.
They really want to get rid of agriculture and turn it back into, what it used to be. Well,
wait a minute.
Yeah, who wants to go back to that?
No.
I like driving my car.
Yeah, no, I want to go back to what it used to be. I want all the farmland that we used to farm to be farmed. What percentage of farmland do we farm now that we used to farm?
Well, they want to call solar farms farms.
No, you can't. Yeah,
doesn't count.
No. Food.
Yes,
yeah, no,
food,
not energy.
We got to feed the world. I mean, I just like I don't want to depend on foreign oil when we have that resource here in this country. Foreign food.
No.
I mean, do we really want to be dependent on that?
No.
Our water system and our farms, that's national security. Those are national security issues. And yet they're not treated like that.
And this is funny you say that. I remember there was this law. It was like a federal law that if there's a problem, the federal government could come in and actually use and make the facilities better, right? If there's a problem, it's not the other way around. Make it harder on everybody.
Yeah, emergency powers, and they use the emergency powers to shut everything down.
Yeah, to do a negative thing on people. So where do we get our food if we can't grow it? Well, we depend on somebody else, another nation, and the nations are so at turmoil with each other, and it's unbelievable the mess that's been made. That hopefully we can correct in a few years, or start to correct anything with good people.
It's all in the policy that you promote, because the policymakers, I'm not going to say they're not doing their job. I just question what kind of job they're doing.
Yeah.
And we had some policy, as I say, with my experience working at the Farm Service Agency, we were getting to a good place with policy. People can argue about President Trump all they want. The policies of that administration were making a difference. We're set to make a difference.
Right.
We're going to go someplace. But then you change administrations, and now we have new policy. And from what I can see, it's terrible.
Right.
Look at the approval ratings. I mean, all that investment of time and energy and imagination to get the oil pipeline. We were going to solve a lot of problems.
We did.
Wiped out with a
stroke of a pen.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, we did some good stuff.
What is sound policy about that? Nothing. And so it's all in personalities win elections, or they don't. But policy is really what dictates where we go as a nation. And I am so very worried about where we are right now.
Well, our energy usage is really, again, people don't understand that we import this gas into California, okay? So where does that gas come from? Well, let's just say it comes from another nation. Well, how does that nation produce the gas? Do they produce it clean like we do? Do they have environmental protection agencies, Cal OSHA, all these agencies that we have now, which is good to protect against pollution, and we all agree on that. And we're buying it from somebody else that's polluting the world. When we only have like 13%, we only pollute the world like 13% over the whole world. If you look at the whole, as a nation, as a world, and it's incredible to see that all these people are polluting the world, and we're buying it from them.
Yeah. Saving the world, I suppose, is a good goal.
Yeah.
How much more progress could we make rather than shutting the good systems that we have down cleaner?
Yeah.
And all of the things that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
and depend on foreign oil. If we really want to save the world, then let's help them do a better job of producing the oil that they produce.
Sure. And I always thought
let's share those ideas. Let's help them.
Yeah, I'd say, okay, so if we're going to buy from you, you got to do what we do. Oh, no. Well, then the whole thing's off because you can't do an efficient job as we can do for the same amount of money and to ship it here.
They don't have the incentive to do that unless we help them.
No.
That's the way I look at it.
With food, too. Food's the same way. They could do whatever they want.
There was a time in my life when I was probably still here, very careful about where did this come from.
Yeah, where'd the food come from?
Yeah. So I realized that as we produce less and less, but we still want it, I think, I don't know if we're so spoiled here in the San Joaquin Valley because we can have some of those things, orange trees in our backyard, and but we can go farmers market, the grocery stores. I mean, we have such a variety. You go to New York and you're in I don't know. I was laughing. This has been years ago. I was there for a conference or for something, and it was like a bodega, they call them, a little small market thing on the corner.
Yeah.
And there were some oranges there that looked like they'd been overextended, and here we have such a bounty here of beautiful fresh fruits and vegetables and everything provided, and those things look like they've been there a while, and the price was exorbitant.
Yeah.
So I understand food deserts. So does it make sense then for us to produce less in our country?
Yeah.
Is that helping anybody else throughout our United States? It's not.
No.
We need to produce even more.
Yeah.
We need to be let the farmers farm. Let the agriculturalists do their job. They know what they're doing. They many generations. There are new farmers, and I think that's great too. But a lot of it is generational knowledge passed down. Generational farmers, family farmers, not factory as people try to label them.
People who know what they're doing.
Family farmers, and we should be producing more. Not less.
Yeah.
We could have abundance of water if we were allowed to store it on those years when they just, oh my gosh, they just let that water flow out. They emptied the reservoirs because it was supposed to rain. Well, why don't you wait and see?
Yeah.
It's it makes me wonder, who are these people and where did we get them?
I don't know.
There was more than once when walking the halls of Sacramento, I wasn't a young, naive, first time elected when I went to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Lived a lot of life before I ever got elected.
Right.
I would look around and say, what's a nice girl like me doing in a place like this? But the Irish in me said, you're here to fight, Connie. And not even fight. I don't know that I want to use the word fight. You're here to influence. You're here to use your background and the opportunities that you have and the knowledge that you've gained.
Right.
The fact that people have given you their vote and allowed you to do this. I can't just sit on the couch. That was another reason for I'm going to jump into this race. Obviously we need someone to do it. I feel like I'm the right person at the right time.
Right.
No, I know most of the California delegation in Congress.
Absolutely.
Served with them in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Served with them on boards of supervisors. So they're not unknown to me. I think I can really hit the ground running. Will I make a difference? I don't know. I jokingly told some folks that Sarah Palin's in a special election too. And since we can't have an oil pipeline, I think Sarah and I could get together and solve the water issues. We'll have a water pipeline from Alaska to California. We can throw in some salmon and some smelt.
Yeah,
I say it tongue in cheek, but stranger things have happened.
That is funny. That is funny because what I thought was, shouldn't we have like a water, the same thing from like the East Coast, from the Carolinas, because it rains so much there. It's unbelievable. Why don't we pump water like we do gas and oil, only water? So
state of Washington is full of water these years.
Yeah, we could pump all this water, and the states can share the costs and charge for it and do all this, and everybody can get water. And do it just like we do gas and oil, only now it's water. So,
but it's a quick route from Alaska to California.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, yeah,
we'll see. We'll see, Pat.
Well, okay.
It's Connie's pipe dream.
No,
literally.
No, I thought the same thing. I did. And I thought, why don't they do this? And it would be an interesting thing to do.
They will laugh at me, but I will still investigate.
Why don't?
Yeah.
Well, the environmentalists. Hey, so water's flowing. If it breaks, it's water.
The environmentalists are an agency unto themselves, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
They use lawsuits as a way to self-propagate.
Yeah.
So they sue you. Sometimes it's easier to buy them off, if you will, than to go through 10 years worth of litigation. And then they hire more lawyers, and then they do more lawsuits.
Right.
At some point, we have to stop this lunacy.
I was looking.
We have to.
Well, they're called Chaldees up in Bakersfield in the Mojave Desert. There's water and stuff, and they got all this. And here comes the lawsuits, and then that's it. They're done. And there's a lot of ranches up there. They're going to go out of business because of these lawsuits that provide water. And the only way you can get water is lift these lawsuits, but they're just, these people, they come out of the woodwork. They just want to fight it, and there's no reason to fight it. It's coming from somewhere else. It's coming through here. It's water.
I like the progress that we've made. I don't want to live in a tent.
No, I don't want to go back to the Stone Age.
I don't want to go to work on my horse.
Well, that's the deal. And these people that, these we're considered a flyover deal, San Joaquin Valley and everything. But, you look at San Francisco and L.A., they have to start understanding that there's this place in between that feeds everybody, or else everyone's going to be in a lot of trouble. What if the supply chain goes, which it has? That's another issue, okay? And what if it goes and we can't get food because we don't grow food? And the supply issue, So what happens then? It's a national emergency not to grow food. It is. Into my
where we live,
process.
It's what we do.
Right.
We're not Silicon Valley, and we aren't Silicon Valley.
No.
Which is in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We are in the San Joaquin Valley,
right.
The central San Joaquin Valley. And agriculture drives everything that happens here.
Right.
Really, because it's the basis for a lot of other things that we do. I'm just hoping at some point we will come to our senses. I think the electorate's pretty unhappy with the way things are right now.
Things are going to change because people make them change. They see this. Okay, so people thought, oh, we're crazy for doing this. Okay, well, you put somebody else in that's not, all of a sudden he changed everything for the worse. Okay, and you could see that. You could see it in our gas prices, energy price. I mean, you haven't even seen it yet. There's more coming. I mean, this isn't over by any means. So what about this? What do you hear about the supply issue?
Well, part of it is it's the holdup at the ports.
Exporting is a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we do.
Right.
As we send our food out.
Right.
But whoever's controlling the ports is controlling the ebb and flow of that. This excuse about, well, we can't bring all the ships in and take the containers off. We don't really have a place to put them. Are you kidding me? That's the lamest excuse I've ever heard.
Well,
and now they're returning them empty. That's to prove a point.
Yeah.
That is to prove a point.
No.
They're not allowing us to ship our goods out. They'd rather, the goods would come in,
Yeah.
and then we'd fill it full of whatever we're shipping to the world,
Right.
and
Then
it'd take
ship it
their
out.
place. That port is very key to what's happening.
Oh, the Oakland port.
Any port.
Right.
They're tied up by whomever.
Right.
Some people want to try to blame it on the trucking industry.
No.
No. Some people want to blame it on the labor unions. I'm not sure. I haven't investigated that close enough.
Yeah.
Someone is holding up that ability to dock those ships, unload those sea trains, and keep our economy flowing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty complicated, but the way I think, and saw it is the supply chain from the docks, okay, from the port where we do export and import. I've been to the ports.
Yes,
okay?
me too.
There's only so much real estate. There's only so much we could do there. There's only so much. Then everything goes from the port to a DC, okay, and then.
But wait, the president told us we were going to do it 24 hours a day.
It doesn't matter.
We were going to bring all of this in. No, they're not doing it,
What
Pat.
he didn't say is there's only so many ports, okay, and there's only so many docks at a DC where a truck can pull in. That's it. There's nobody making any more DCs to put the food in that goes. Then it's distributed to the stores and everything.
Because of the control of the ports, though, Mexico's getting ready to open a new one.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how crowded will be here because they will
At the golf, at the golf.
They will make it happen. It's everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And just because of my experience, I blame a lot of things on politics.
Yeah, it's bad politics and bad policy.
Policy for sure.
Policy, yeah.
But sometimes people's political agenda drives their behavior, and then we all suffer.
Yeah.
And that is the unfortunate thing about our modern world. It's great in so many ways, but it's awfully backwards in others.
Well, see, people don't feel it and see it until it's a huge deal, like the gas prices right now. That's where everyone sees it because I'm going to the AMPM and I'm putting gas in my truck and I'm looking and there's nobody in the AMP market. Okay, well that means that that's where all the money is made in a gas station now. It's not made off of gas because of the taxes involved and everything. You just can't charge that. And
of course, in California, we're paying a minimum of $1.26 a gallon of tax.
And where does that
special?
It goes in the general account, doesn't it?
It goes wherever it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
it's part of that. A separate gas tax. Remember that? I think that was 8 cents, whatever it was.
Yeah, tax on taxes.
It's supposed to fix the roads.
Yeah.
Well, it's sitting out there in what I call Fresno Stonehenge, transportation money diverted to high-speed rail. That's another show.
Don't even get that. You know what? Real quick. Okay, so when that got, I know you got to go, but when that got started, I said, okay. Show me, and I pointed it at our local newspaper in my comments. I said, tell me how much it's going to cost me to do a round trip. Okay, how much am I going to pay as a taxpayer? How much are you going to charge me? We don't know. You don't know how much it's going to charge. You're going to charge. If you don't know how much you're going to charge me, you have no business plan. There was no business plan on
It's a romantic idea.
Yeah.
I'm not downplaying the idea.
No.
Personally, I don't know why they didn't go out. Well, it was to appease the Central Valley and get them.
I thought it was going to go from San Francisco to L.A., like through I-5.
Right.
That's what I thought.
The easement is already owned.
That's what I thought. Okay, you just go right along the freeway.
Yes.
It's already built.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you bypass the San Joaquin Valley. Okay.
No farming.
We'll get over it.
Yeah.
We don't need the train running through our. Well, I mean, it was an idea. As I say, people probably thought it was a good idea, but no good deed goes unpunished. And on paper, maybe it makes sense. Actually, I'm surprised they didn't try to do something from L.A. to Las Vegas just to try it out, to do something quick and do that fast and see if it was actually, and they could have done that, oh my gosh, quickly.
Yeah.
Yes, there's always environmental issues, but it wouldn't have been like what they're facing now. I mean, the cost is 1,000-fold.
Yeah, and I said it. I wasn't even looking at the costs. I was looking at the business plan. I said, "You have no business plan." There was no plan. It's like, oh, we have a plan. It's going to be built in this many years, and this is how much we're going to spend. Okay, on what? And how are you going to recoup your money? We don't know that. Well, then you have no business plan.
Yeah, it's a combination of mistakes, I think, in California. I always want to believe that people are well-intentioned, but sometimes I have to shake myself and say, Connie, they're not. Get over it.
Yeah. Well,
they're not well-intentioned.
You're right.
This is purposeful. It's to fill their own pocket or whatever their hidden agenda is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se, but I know what I know, and I know what I've seen.
No.
And it's not good, Pat.
I say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just a theorist. Okay, so I look at the theory. Okay, so here's the theory. Okay, if that theory doesn't make sense, something's wrong. There's something wrong if it doesn't make sense to a layman person like myself who isn't an engineer in developing this whole thing. If I can see this, there's an issue. Yeah. So anyway, we need more people like you. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, we do.
Very kind.
Newt, I love Newt. I mean, that guy's I'm a big fan of him. We'll probably catch it, but whatever. And I hope, however this turns out, that it turns out for the better. And we all do something about it. We need to go vote, and we need to organize ourselves and make ourselves happy again.
Well, I'm inspired again and energized. I have a lot of energy.
Yeah, you do.
I haven't spent it all yet.
No, it's incredible. I mean, I was looking at your deal, and I was like, how is she going to go in this and take it over for 6 months? That's an enormous deal.
I do have a plan.
Yeah, no, you do.
And I'm ready.
I know you do. But you're going, look, I'm just, I'm doing all this work here. That you're doing a tremendous amount of work to do that, and it's like, okay, so what after? There's got to be a plan on everything. But you want to do things one leg at a time and see how's this going to work out.
As I say, life has a way of happening to me.
Yeah.
I've been very blessed. I had a lot of lives before I started being elected. And actually, I guess I can blame my father. After a full career with the phone company, he retired and ran for and was successful the Board of Supervisors in Tulare County.
Yeah.
In the middle of his third term, we lost him at the very young age of 65 to cancer.
Wow.
And it was 10 years after.
So you guys were farmers?
No, my dad worked for the phone company.
Okay, yeah, but your son is a farmer.
Yes,
Yeah.
his on his dad's side of the family.
Oh, okay.
was-
So yeah,
was
he picked up the dairy
farming
farm
part.
and all
Yeah.
that. Okay.
And he anyway, with my dad, it was 10 years after his death that I don't know, I felt this call to service, and I've been answering that call ever since. And I have met so many people, and I've learned so much. I try to pull energy from everybody I meet,
Yeah.
and also, do a Vulcan mind meld. I want to know what's in your mind. I want to know what's going on. But then you have to. It's great, Connie. You've had the opportunity. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Try to make a difference.
Well, it's like
Try to influence people and move them in a direction that's positive for everybody.
I have a like mind with you because I grew up here. I was born and raised in Fresno. My family, they were immigrants that came here. They bought land. They farmed. We created something,
Yes.
and everybody I know that's what I'm doing. I interview ag people, right? And everybody I'm talking to, everybody has a like-minded attitude. And it's not, I want to win. I want to do this. I want to make it work.
Yes.
Okay. I want to make this work and I want to go forward. And that's the kind of mentality that farming community people have. It's, I'll do the work. Whatever it takes, they get there.
If I have a closing thought or closing statement on all of that, it pains me that agriculture, water, whatever those issues are, have become partisan because water should not be partisan.
Yeah, it's for everybody. Yeah.
And I sometimes question, are we not solving this problem because If we did, would we need the powers that be anymore?
Yeah.
Maybe they could be a part-time legislature that make all these rules
Right.
and do all of these things. I would certainly support that.
Right.
Or we wouldn't need to reelect them because we would solve the problem. It should not be a partisan battle, and yet that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And that is to the detriment of everyone.
That's an excellent attitude to have.
Politics aside, it impacts everyone.
Okay, so let's get down to it. How do we support you? What do we do for you?
Well,
Because that's what the deal is.
I always tell people the first thing you need to do is pray.
Yeah, yeah.
prayers
yeah.
for everything.
Yeah,
We pray
yeah.
for water, we pray for rain.
Yeah.
But a vote is a vote of confidence that people believe I can do this job.
Okay.
And I would be so appreciative if you live in the old Nunes district. It's those lines that will exist until next January 2nd. Actually, be the last day that it exists. It is confusing in as much as I'm on the ballot with a competitor for the old lines, but then the same ballot in June you'll be voting for new folks on new lines.
Right.
So just don't forget me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to be somewhere is what you're saying.
I'm on there.
Yeah,
When you see Connie Conway, say yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Connie Conway. That's a heck of a name, too. I don't know how they came up with that one when you were born.
My father.
Yeah, yeah. I looked at that and said, well, that's a very catchy name, on a bumper sticker or on a billboard is Connie Conway, man. That's a great name. Now you have a son?
I have two sons.
Two sons.
I do.
Okay.
One in the farming and dairy industry, and the other son not.
Yeah, yeah. I have my dad, farming industry. I didn't know my dad until I was like 8 or 9 years old, because he's a farmer.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Kids
Yes.
don't know their dads if their dads are farmers, because that's their life.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But
Sun up to sundown.
yeah,
And then some.
yeah, yeah. So he told me not to get into farming.
Oh, wow.
Right? He said, "Look, this is way too hard." He says, "You need to do this," and I went, "Okay." So what I did to my son was I said, "You need to be an attorney," and he was like, "Huh?" And he did the route, and he loved it, and now he's an attorney in San Diego.
Oh,
He lives in
wow.
San Diego, yeah. He's 34, and he's done real well. He's made me proud. So
But he has that background.
yeah,
He has that
He can do
heritage.
anything. Yeah,
And so,
he's got a work ethic.
yes,
that I gave him
that is great.
that we need. Okay.
That is great.
Anyway, thank you, Connie. I really appreciate
Thanks,
you,
Pat.
and it's great to talk to a like-minded person. And go vote.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.